Outrunning Inferno, a tale of fire, survival, and forewarning. The sky was an eerie blend of orange and red, smoke billowing high from the massive wildfire devouring everything in its path. The fury of the flames was a sight to behold, a terrifying spectacle of nature's wrath. However, this wasn't a scene from a dystopian novel or an apocalyptic blockbuster movie. This was the harsh reality for thousands of residents in the northern region of California, who had to evacuate their homes in the wake of the deadliest wildfire in the state's history. For many, the flames weaved their destructive dance before any formal evacuation orders were issued, leaving them scrambling to save their lives, families, and whatever belongings they could muster in the face of the rapidly encroaching inferno. The fire's ignition in the early morning of August 8, 2023, a small brush fire ignited in the remote hills of Northern California. Fueled by a combination of strong winds, unseasonably hot temperatures, and dry vegetation, the fire quickly grew out of control. Within hours, it had morphed into a massive wildfire, devouring thousands of acres and threatening several small communities nearby. A race against time. Despite the best efforts of local firefighters and emergency services, the wildfire spread at an alarming pace. The fire seemed to have a life of its own, outpacing containment efforts and defying all attempts to predict its path. For many residents, the first indication of the approaching danger was the smoke-filled horizon and the shower of ash raining down on their homes. "I didn't even receive an evacuation order until the flames were practically at my doorstep," says one survivor, who wishes to remain anonymous. "I barely had time to grab my kids and a few valuables before my home was engulfed in flames." Not all stories were as fortunate. Some residents found themselves trapped by the rapidly advancing fire, their only escape route cut off by a wall of flames. They were forced to shelter in place, praying that the fire would pass them by and spare their homes. The aftermath. In the aftermath of the fire, the landscape is a stark, charred reminder of the ferocity of the flames. Entire communities have been reduced to ash, with only the skeletal remains of buildings and homes left standing. The toll on human life has yet to be fully quantified, but the numbers are expected to be high. Criticism. The speed of the fire's spread and the lack of timely evacuation orders have led to criticism of local authorities and emergency services. Many survivors argue that they were not given sufficient warning to evacuate safely. Others claim that the state's emergency alert system failed them when they needed it most. The road to recovery. Despite the widespread devastation, the spirit of resilience is palpable among survivors. Communities are rallying together to support each other and begin the long process of recovery. But the scars of the fire will take a long time to heal. In the wake of this disaster, there is a growing call for improved emergency alert systems and better fire management strategies. Only time will tell if these calls for change will be heeded or if history will repeat itself in the face of the next wildfire. The tale of the California wildfire is a chilling reminder of nature's destructive power and the urgent need for effective disaster management. As the survivors grapple with the reality of their losses and embark on the arduous journey to recovery, one thing is clear: they will forever remember the day the flames reached them before the evacuation orders. Inferno in Paradise, Maui ravaged by its worst wildfires in what is being called the worst wildfire disaster in Hawaii's history. The picturesque city of Maui has suffered immense devastation over the past week as uncontrolled infernos tore through homes and forests. Thousands of residents have lost everything in the walls of flame that surprised locals and visitors alike. It began as small brush fires started by dry lightning strikes on the outskirts of Maui City last Tuesday. Fueled by drought conditions and strong seasonal winds, the flames quickly jumped and merged into massive wildfires. Within hours, multiple fires had joined together into one massive blaze that was completely overwhelming fire crews. The fast-moving inferno roared into residential neighborhoods before many realized the depth of the danger. Panicked residents rushed to evacuate as their homes went up in flames behind them. With entire blocks engulfed almost instantly, harrowing tales have emerged of narrow escapes and beloved pets lost in the calamity. By nightfall, half of Maui City was a burning hellscape, with towering plumes of smoke visible for miles. Over 2,500 structures have been confirmed destroyed so far, including many historic homes and businesses. The full scope of the economic impact on Maui's tourism industry is still being assessed. 5 days later, firefighters continue battling several massive fires still raging across the island. Containment efforts have been slowed by strong winds and inaccessible burning terrain. The current blaze is now listed as the largest in Hawaii's recorded history at over 75,000 acres burned. While the immediate emergency response focused on search and rescue, attention is now turning to rebuilding shattered lives and the long process of recovery. Charitable funds have been set up to aid those displaced from their homes. Concerns are also rising about increased wildfire risks caused by climate change and how communities can better prepare. Through thick smoke and ashes, Maui's resilient spirit is evident as volunteers work together to provide relief. With its natural beauty and tropical climate, many see Maui as a paradise on Earth. But this unprecedented inferno has proved that even paradise is not immune to the worsening forces of nature in a warming world. The recovery of Maui will be long, but its people remain determined to rise from the ashes.
Look, before I begin, I want to say a word about the devastating wildfires that have claimed at least 36 lives in Maui and Hawaii. We have just approved a major disaster declaration for Hawaii, which will get aid into the hands of the people desperately needing help now. They've lost, anyone who's lost a loved one whose home has been damaged or destroyed is going to get help immediately. And I've directed that we surge support to these brave firefighters and first responders and emergency personnel working around the clock there, risking their lives. I just got off the phone before I got here for a long conversation with Governor Josh Green this morning. Let him know I'm going to make sure the state has everything it needs from the federal government to recover. The FEMA Administrator Griswold will be in Maui tomorrow, and I've directed her to streamline any process with requests for help and survivors registered for immediate federal assistance without delay. FEMA is surging disaster assistance personnel on the island, and they're going to help survivors get access to federal assistance. And you know, anybody who wants to know out there where to go if this is televised, that they can go to disasterassistance.gov, disasterassistance.gov, to learn if you're eligible for assistance. And I've ordered all available federal assets on the island, including the U.S. Coast Guard, the Navy 3rd Fleet, and the U.S. Army, to assist local emergency response crews along with the Hawaiian National Guard. We're working as quickly as possible to fight these fires and evacuate residents and tourists. In the meantime, our prayers with the people of Hawaii, but not just our prayers. Every asset we have will be available to them, and they've seen their homes, their business destroyed, and some have lost loved ones, and it's not over yet.